Well, hello everyone, and thank you for being here. One of the biggest things that I find as a coach, an author, as a speaker, one of the best things that I've ever done for my career is to write a book. Now, most of you, especially Veronica, knows I hate writing. It's like pulling teeth out of me. It's something that, is I'd rather be speaking than doing that. But uh, it is an amazing thing to add in and to be able to not just get your story out, your message out, but it literally opens doors. And so it's going to be a two-part thing. Number one is, writing the book. A lot of people get stuck with, I have a message, I want to say something, but I don't think it's, valuable or whatever. They just get into this thing that it's not enough. And so uh, we want to give you that permission, and Veronica is going to be touching on that. But, how many of you have books, right now that you've already written? How many of you, three, okay. How many of you are not satisfied with as many books going out the door for people to receive that information? Okay, come on, be honest. So Veronica is going to be spending a lot of time with that. And so I'm not going to be speaking today. I'm going to be listening and taking notes. And so I'm going to just turn it over to Veronica. She is, we self-publish, but Veronica is my book wizard. She is the one that tells me what to do, and I say, yes, dear, and it gets the stuff out in all the different ways that I don't know about. So Veronica, I trust you immensely. You're my person, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am going to share my screen and kind of go through a PowerPoint presentation. And depending on the group, I mean, if we kind of stay small like this, I don't mind kind of getting questions throughout the process. But Gary, if you start seeing more attendees, then I'll say let's hold the questions until the end, and we'll go from there. And we'll
And
start off.
mute yourself if you haven't already.
Yeah. And because usually at these type of events, I always feel like there's half and half that have published, half that haven't. I'll kind of start with the first half of just kind of general self-publishing. And then the back end will be the book marketing, which will be where the gold is. So we will get started. Okay. Okay. So let me move my little camera away a little bit. And so this whole presentation, I do have it as a PDF. So if you wanted to, you can go to selfpublishingfreeguide.com. And it does have a self-publishing checklist. And I am working on a marketing piece, but this is the self-publishing piece, which does have a little bit of the marketing at the end of that PDF. Okay. Okay. So the first step, obviously, you've written a manuscript. Now what do you do once you've written that manuscript? So I can't stress enough how important it is to hire an editor. A lot of people want to skip the step. Maybe they're a teacher or something and they've got their friends, their neighbors and family, but it is really a critical piece, even with nonfiction. So a lot of people don't think about it with nonfiction. They just think of more editing when it comes to the fiction side, but even with the nonfiction, it is pretty important to consider having an editor. There's different types of editing: developmental, copy editing, proofreading. If you're on a super tight budget, at the very least, at least have the proofreading. The basic differences between them: developmental editing, that's, I guess, more for the fiction crowd, the novels. Developmental editor, they're going to read through your manuscript, help you reorganize it, rewrite some areas, which that can happen too in nonfiction. Does your story make sense? Does it flow well? Copy editing, they're going to check more for the obvious mistakes, inconsistencies in your manuscript. They're kind of like the technician of your book. They're going to kind of go through, clean up the obvious spelling and grammar, adjust your word choices. And then proofreading, that's kind of like your final step in the editing process. They're like your last set of eyes. Kind of a lot of times, if you've written a book in the past, when you've gotten that physical proof that you have in your hand, that's kind of your proofreading step. The very first thing you will want to think of, kind of I mean, even before you hire an editor, if you're thinking about keeping your ducks in a row and your bookkeeping and all of that, is to consider if you're going to get an LLC, or at the very, very least, if you don't want to go through the, the process of setting up the LLC and working with an accountant, is to at the very least get a DBA. Here in Colorado, it's called a trade name. And in Colorado, it's just 20 bucks. In other states, it's called a DBA, doing business as. Some other states, it's called a setting of a fictitious name. But regardless, you're going to want to set up some kind of name or entity that has the name of publishing or press publishers in it. Because basically, when you go to publish a book, and we'll kind of talk about the details of that later, and Amazon, how you get your book on Amazon. But this is the product details for a book on Amazon. You can see here that this says pending press, so it shows publisher, and I can't tell you how many authors come to me when they want to talk about book marketing, for example, that for the publisher, they listed Amazon or independently published. That's a dead giveaway that your book is self-published. And as a self-published author, you want to elevate yourself, and you don't want to be known and seen as a self-published author. You want everyone to think that you're a legitimate author, because there is a tiny little bit of a stigma with the term self-published. So you want to set yourself up for success. That's why you definitely want to consider having the editor, a professional editor, edit your manuscript. But then you definitely want to consider getting an entity set up for yourself. And then when you set all this up yourself, or if you work with a publishing consultant or a book designer or whatnot, when you go in later on down the line, get your ISBN and whatnot, all of that is set up under that
I wanted to listen in
LLC
on.
or that, the DBA, for example. So the next step, you've got your manuscript edited, you've got let's just say your Red Sky Press as an example. You need to get an ISBN. So an ISBN, think of it as a social security number for your book, just an identifier in the catalog for the book. One ISBN is $125. A 10-pack of ISBNs is $295. What determines whether you need 1 or 10? If you're publishing a paperback and an ebook, technically you really only need 1. So you need 1 ISBN for a paperback. You'd need an ISBN if you were doing a hardcover. You don't necessarily need one for an ebook, and you don't necessarily need one for an audiobook. Is it a nice to have? Yes. Do I recommend that you get the ISBN for all of your formats? Paperback, hardcover, ebook, audiobook? Yes. Just looks a little bit more legitimate on that copyright page that lists out all of those ISBNs. But if you're tight on a budget, at least get an ISBN for that paperback. Here in the United States, Bowker is the only legitimate place to get an ISBN, so these prices will stand. There is, if you Google right now, like discounted ISBNs, there's tons of places that will advertise, oh, get your ISBN for $5, $20. Don't do it, because Ingram Spark knows who those publishers are. You're not allowed to resell on ISBN, and basically that's what they're doing. They're getting a huge block of ISBNs and they're reselling it to you, and that's illegal, unfortunately. And Ingram Spark, which we'll get into who they are and why that matters, but there are Amazon and Ingram Spark that they can remove your book from the online catalog. So your book will be pulled from, Barnes & Noble and tattered cover if you do end up using one of those discounted ISBNs. So then you've got your ISBN, you've got your manuscript edited, you've got your press. Now the fun happens. So this is kind of where you loop in either a book publishing consultant, a book publisher, a book designer. If you're doing this yourself and you're kind of self-publishing yourself, then your next step is you're going to reach out to a book designer, as well as, so the book designer, it could be either the cover designer or the interior typesetter. They could be the same designer, or they could be 2 different designers. Just make sure that your book cover designer knows what they're doing. Because in my world, we do everything. We do book publishing, we do the book cover design, we do the book typesetting. I've had several projects come to me where they've already had the cover designed, And it's been a nightmare for us to work with that cover designer because even though the cover designer's very skilled and talented, they weren't familiar with book design, and that is a little bit of a different animal. So just make sure that at least if they are separate, if you use a cover designer and a different typesetter, that that cover designer is familiar with book cover design. Some resources to find a good book designer, your local regional book publishers association here in Colorado. The organization here is called Colorado Independent Publishers Association. I'm the former president there. But if you go to this website, you should have the list of all of the states in case you guys live in a different state. Upwork can be hit or miss. They do have some good designers, and of course, Journeybound Publishing. As far as trim sizes go, that is something that you'll need to talk about with your designer. They will be probably the best person to discuss what the best trim size is. This I don't agree with where it says general fiction 6x9. The general fiction is more going to be like a 5.5 by 8.5 or 5.25 by 8. So kind of ignore that. Otherwise, your general nonfiction 5.5 by 8.5. This kind of gives you a good idea of what your general trim sizes are. It's not a hard and fast. You can definitely publish a book at a different trim size, especially if you have like a really big book. You do probably want to go with that, 6x9 because you don't want it to be super lengthy because you want to have a good page count size, but you don't want it to be super long. Okay, so I'm going to touch upon like the different self-publishing models very briefly. So print on demand, I think everyone knows what that is here, so I'll kind of gloss over it. We can definitely get into details towards the end. Print on demand, you don't need any inventory, technically. Back in the day, you used to need to go to a short-run digital printer, for example. Here in Colorado, we have a couple printers where you can go, send your cover file, send your interior file, and have 1,000, 2,500 books printed. And then they ship the books to you in big pallets. And now you have pallets in your garage or your basement that you need to move. I actually just spoke to someone yesterday that he still has 2,000 books of a very old book. And he's like, I don't know what to do with my books. I hate hearing those stories, but that is still a situation, an issue. But nowadays, you don't need to do that. If you can use what's called a short run digital printer, they are going to be a little bit better quality than what you would print with a print on demand. With a print on demand printer, you send them the files, and then when orders come in, they print it. So for example, Amazon has their own print on demand printer, which we'll talk about. So for example, with Amazon, like I said, your designer, your consultant, or you would set up an account with Amazon. You would send them your files. You'd make the book live. And then within 24 hours, you would have your book on Amazon. And then when someone goes to Amazon and buys your book, that's when Amazon would then print it and ship it to the customer. And in that kind of a model, Amazon would pay you a royalty minus the print cost of your book, right? So you have to account for the print cost of your book somewhere. If I have a client that is a speaker, a coach, a consultant, where they're going to be doing a lot of speaking gigs, we will usually do what's called a hybrid. And the hybrid kind of blends blends the print on demand and the short run. So we'll definitely do the POD, get their book up on Amazon, but then we will put in an order of 100, 300, 500 books here because that is something that they know that they can move fairly quickly, right? Like they're doing a lot of events and then they're in the back of the room. They have their nicer quality book that they can sell at those events, and offer as book signings. But your typical author, they're just going to focus on the POD model. The offset commercial printing, that's going to be your children's book authors. So if anyone is a children's book author, coffee table books, photography books, you're definitely going to want a really high quality book. And unfortunately, that is not going to be cheap. And that is what's called offset commercial printing. I don't think a lot of you are in that world, so I won't get into that too deeply. As far as, versions, these are the obvious: paperback, hardcover, ebook, audiobook. Hardcover with a print-on-demand model, it's not very lucrative. It's not affordable. So I don't necessarily recommend it for my authors. It's a nice to have, but you're going to have to price that hardcover at least $10 higher than your retail. And it's not very cost effective to have to print it if you want to sell it yourself. And you can't even compete with hardcover prices. So because of the nature that you're probably going to have to price it $10 higher than your paperback, let's say you're listing your paperback at $14.99, which that's an easy sell. If you have to sell your hardcover at $24.99, it's a hard sell because chances are your peers, the people in your genre, they're honestly pricing their hardcover probably within $14, $16.99 at most, honestly. So hardcover, I try to steer away authors in the self-publishing world from thinking about the hardcover, unless it's more just for, family, friends, things like that. So these are the typical POD platforms. There's Kindle Direct Publishing, which is Amazon. So it's called KDP. So if you hear me say KDP, that is Amazon's print-on-demand printer. And I know it sounds a little weird that it's Kindle Direct Publishing, but they do paperbacks. And you also could publish a hardcover through Amazon KDP. And then we'll get into Ingram Spark as well. When I work with an author, we take our files and we set it up with Amazon KDP. That gets your book up on the Amazon market. And then Ingram Spark, that is going to be your wholesale market. So that's going to get your book published with all the major online retailers. So again, KDP, your book will be published on all of Amazon's platforms, Amazon.com, Amazon.Spain, Mexico, Italy, France, Germany, right? Like worldwide with Amazon's ecosystem. And then Ingram Spark, that's going to be Barnes & Noble is the big guy. If you're here in Colorado, Tattered Cover will pick up your book. Walmart, basically any of the bookstores that pull into an online feed, they'll pull into your book and your book will show online. That doesn't mean that your book will show up physically at Barnes & Noble, but someone can go to barnesandnoble.com and purchase your book. The thing to think about with Ingram Spark is that because that feeds into the bookstores, you have to think about Ingram Spark as your wholesale retailer. And so what I mean by that is Amazon, that's your retail marketplace, right? So like, let's just say you're selling your paperback for $14.99. You have it on Amazon. That's your retail buyer. So your mom, your dad, your neighbor, your colleagues, they go to Amazon and pay $14.99. You get a royalty of 60% off of that price, off of the $14.99 minus the print cost, which is usually around $3-ish a book. With Ingram Spark, because that's pushing into the bookstores, Ingram Spark asks you to set a wholesale pricing, right? Because bookstores, when they buy a book from you to sell on their bookstore, they really want a good discount. Bookstores, just in general, a standard bookstore that a book asks for their discount is 40%. So just a little tip, if you're doing this on your own, if you set your book up with Ingram Spark, when Ingram Spark asks, and I know this is getting a little technical, but when Ingram Spark asks what wholesale discount do you want to list your book at, I would put 55 in there because Ingram Spark keeps 15% off the top. And so then that gives the bookstores the discount that they want. And so you would get a 45% royalty off of any wholesale orders. So if your neighbor says, yeah, I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble, buy your book, you'll make 45% off of that sale. It's not as lucrative as Amazon, but at least you're opening up yourself to all the major retailers. Okay, so outside of that, that's it. You go live. You publish your book. You submit your files to the various platforms. Again, we didn't really get into this too much, but if you happen to be a children's book author, I know Odelia just published a children's book. If you're a children's book author and you use that offset publishing, that offset printer, and you had to print 2,000 children's books in, let's just say, South Korea to bring down your print costs, how do you get that book on Amazon? Because you can't do POD. Your option to get your book into Amazon if you're not doing print on demand is Seller Central. Seller Central, it's basically where you send Amazon a box of your books, and then Amazon creates the account for you, and then you can sell the book and they fulfill the orders. But again, that's outside of the scope of this. So with Amazon, once you publish your book within their tool, KDP, your book will be live fairly soon. Same with Ingram Spark. Within a couple of weeks, your book will start hitting all those retailers. And then the ebooks will go live within a couple of days. We didn't really talk about this, but there's audiobooks. That's obviously up and coming, not up and coming, it's hopping. Audiobooks are Richard Riemann. He's our audiobook guy. I believe he says that audiobooks are kind of surpassing ebook sales. Audiobooks are doing very, very well. The platform that I would suggest for the audiobooks is ACX. That is owned by Amazon. And if you publish your audiobook through there, it's nice and easy because you can go to ACX and you can audition narrators. So you can publish maybe like 2 pages of your book into a section, and you can enlist narrators to basically narrate your book and audition for your book. And then when your book gets published, your audiobook will be live on Audible, the Apple iTunes store, and then Amazon. And then your royalties are 40% on the audiobooks. And then there's another platform called Dreamscape, which I know Richard is really big on. And that would be my go-to, especially if you are a children's book audiobook author, because Dreamscapes lets you set your own retail price. So outside of that, we're going to start talking here about the marketing. And before I jump into the marketing, I'll kind of finish up this little bit of my slideshow here. But before I do, with the self-publishing side, are there any questions? So we could take a quick pause here. If you see any questions, Gary, let me know and then I'll stop sharing.
So far, there isn't anything in the chat for a question that I've seen. So if anybody has a question, oh, go ahead, Roland.
Oh, I was going to ask, when you say you audition for a narrator, is there like a set rate for a narrator, or do they put their own prices? Is it a one-time shot for them?
Yeah.
Or do they get a piece of the action?
So they have a price point of like 75 to 150, and then they have like 150 to 250. So they have different tiers. I just spoke to an author today that he paid $70 an hour for his audiobook and he was super happy with it. One of my other authors, she paid a narrator 150 bucks. In my experience with the other authors that I've worked with, it's been more like in the 200 to 250 price range. 250 is what I've seen has been amazing. Like their narration is spot on. But can you find it for less? Sure. The cool thing about ACX is that they have a whole narrator section. So even before you put up that audition, you can go and you can literally filter out. So like if you you want a woman who's maybe middle-aged or young, like you can pick her age, you can pick her accent if you want her to have a Midwest accent, if you want her to sound like she's from Boston, you can pick all of that. And then it'll pull up all of those women, for example, that are from Boston that have that sound, and you can listen to their samples. And they usually have quite a bit of samples for each of the narrators. So it's cool because if you can kind of go through that, and if you like a lot of them, you can kind of favorite them. And then when you post your sample, your chapter, and you ask people to narrate or to audition, you can invite those people to your audiobook. So you can say, hey, I really liked your sound. I'd love you to audition. And then if they're interested, they can audition to your book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Leslie asked, do you have any feedback on the new AI being used for narrating audiobooks?
Well, that's a tough one because there are some tools that will do that. I don't know if you're referring to this, but KDP does have an option now inside of your KDP account where you can have KDP AI narrate your book. You go into your KDP account, you click audiobook, you say, hey, I want AI to do it. It just gives you a few options. Like it gives you maybe 2 women and 2 men. And they sound okay, but like I just tried this for one of my authors just to play with it, and it's not smooth. Like it doesn't flow very well, and when it goes to the next chapter, it just skips a beat. So I wouldn't recommend that. I don't think that is there yet. I know that Audible had a disclaimer where they wouldn't let AI narrated books in their catalog. And in my experience, my authors, that's where they make most of their money, is through Audible. So it's not there yet. Do I think we'll be able to allow that soon? I honestly do.
Yeah.
KDP also has when you go to set up your files with Amazon, you have to tell Amazon if you used AI, whether it was for your cover or if you used it to help you write the book. Amazon asks you to tell them that. They're not dinging your book right now. And I'm kind of hearing through the grapevine that Amazon is going to come up with like write your book with AI program, like through their own system. So you can't really avoid it. It's going to happen, but I don't think we're there just yet with the audiobooks, but we're not far off. If that
So-
answers your question.
And Lee said, are there any cautions or prohibitions? Let me see if I can read this. For created or supported content with publishing.
Can you clarify your question?
Lee, could you come on and ask the question directly?
Yeah, sometimes you're writing a book, you get stumped, and or you're writing a paragraph, and you ask ChatGPT to help you rewrite or reword a paragraph. It's your content, but you're having them, repolish it or give you ideas. Is there any prohibitions for that, as well as, I guess, maybe the more obvious question of, what happens if you just outright AI create something? How does that stand in the publishing? What kind of 2 questions there?
That's a really good question, and it's kind of a gray area. If it were me and I did that, I would honestly probably say no, because it's more like AI assisted. I just kind of had it helping me here and there. But there's honestly forums that I've been to where they're like, no, that was totally AI generated, because if you didn't have AI help you, you wouldn't have even have thought to have that sentence. And it's a really tough one. But for now, you can say, no, you didn't use AI. But again, that's kind of a gray area because there's a whole nother side that is really adamant against that. At the moment, there's no designation for your book. So if you say yes, there's nothing that says it was AI. At the same time, I do think that if you completely write a book with AI, I do think that they'll be able to know, because when we publish a Kindle, Amazon scans Kindles all the time. And so, every once in a while, an author will get, hey, there's a typo in your ebook that they never caught, because Amazon is scanning that because they want to make sure that they provide a good user experience. And you can scan something right now and check if it's AI generated or if it's human generated. There's some argument on how legit that is. But so I think that at some point they will start scanning ebooks and books just in general, and flagging them. So you do want to be as honest as you can at the beginning, but I don't think that it's going to affect us necessarily. But who knows? Because they haven't really come out and said what they're going to do with that information.
Let me chime in here just a little bit. I have a client that did her research with AI and then wrote the book. It's been rejected 4 times for publishing on Amazon. And so they're having to go back and re-edit, even though it was her thoughts. The other challenge that I have heard about using AI is AI goes into the universe and takes information from everyone. And so there are times, if you're not sure that it's your genuine information that has gone through your filter, your beliefs, your message, then it can be considered, and this is a gray area like what Veronica said, but plagiarism is that if you're taking credit for someone else's work and then it comes out, it could be a problem too. But the filters are getting more and more sophisticated to find AI.
Yeah.
So are there any other questions? I'm not seeing anything else in the chat. These
Okay.
are good questions, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
I just typed a question in the chat. So, from the end, editor, publisher, and getting a social security number for the book. I don't remember which it was called, but what is approximate cost, do you think, for that entire process?
So Devin, you were cutting out a little bit, but I think you were asking about the ISBNs and the cost. Are you asking what the cost is to get an ISBN for your book?
No, so what's the approximate cost from beginning to end with hiring an editor and a publisher and getting the ISBN?
So that's a good question. For the editing, it honestly just depends on how much work your manuscript needs. One of my editors, we just kind of checked in to kind of check in on her pricing and whatnot, because it's nice for me to ballpark. I don't include editing when I work with someone just because I do more of the publishing side. So, book cover, design, typesetting, and all of that. But manuscript editing, again, depending on the work and the word count, you're probably looking at, honestly, at least 1,700 on the low end. On the high end, and this is high end is a large book, probably like a 400-page count book, probably around 4,000. But again, don't quote me because it just depends on the editor. There's, editors have a huge range on what they charge. But you're probably looking, I would say at least 2,000 is what you would want to budget for the the editing piece. And then as far as the publishing side, so that can be, again, it just depends on the publisher, the self-publishing consultant, the book, if you're going to piecemeal this, work with the cover designer and whatnot. But like within us, my team, my price point, we're like around the $3,000 to $5,000 price point for kind of everything, soup to nuts. And for us, we do include a little bit of the marketing piece into it. So, you're probably looking at 5,000 to 8,000 for publishing the book, but then there's the marketing side. So what I'm going to get into now is the marketing side. And, of course, you can hire someone like us to work on it. You can do it yourself. This type of marketing that I'm going to be sharing with you, what the goal is not necessarily to sell a lot of books up front. That will happen in the end. It's a slow and steady process on working on getting your ratings up on Amazon, because that is how you will over time sell the books organically. So, obviously we'll kind of get into a little bit more details here, but once you've published the book, something to think about is getting an Amazon author page claimed. So you've got your book published. When someone goes to your book on Amazon, you have your name. You want your name to be clickable. And then when someone clicks on your book, so for example, I'll just jump ahead for a second. So Carrie Evelyn, so you see how it's blue. If I click on that, it'll list on Amazon all of her books, unless she has an author page, which she does, because you see here it says follow the author. So what that means is if I click on her name, now it's going to take me to her profile. It'll have her profile photo, it'll have her bio, and then it'll list her books. But this way you can see that it's within her ecosystem. So that's one thing to do once you publish, is to claim your Amazon author profile. I will hopefully get into the Goodreads towards the end if we have some time. Goodreads is it's a platform, if none of you are familiar with it, it's basically like a Facebook for book lovers. So it's like a social media platform. They keep track of the books that they read. They keep track of the books that they want to read, and books that they have read. And Goodreads allows you to add your book to Goodreads, and you can, again, claim an author profile. So it's a way for you to kind of congregate and hang out where the book readers, the avid book lovers hang out. So that definitely is a to-do for you if you haven't already, is get your book into Goodreads. And then once your book is there, claim yourself as an author through that platform, which hopefully we'll get into the Goodreads, because that is a really good platform. I tell an author, if you can get 10 reviews on Amazon, then I would consider running a free Kindle campaign. This is just the benefit of why to have a Kindle published. I don't think we need to necessarily go through that. I think most people, when they think about publishing, they want to publish a paperback. And most people think about publishing an ebook anyways. It's usually inexpensive to have the ebook converted. So it's kind of a no-brainer. If you publish an ebook, I used to, when I worked with authors, I would publish their ebooks and put their ebooks in every single ebook platform. So I would put their ebook inside of the Barnes & Noble Nook. I put it in the Apple Bookstore, Kobo, the library system. But for like the first 10 years of doing that, I was finding that the authors never sold anything. Where did they sell their ebooks? On Amazon. And if you tell Amazon that I'm going to be exclusive and I'm only going to sell my ebook within your platform, they give you a couple cool, amazing perks. So what that means is you tell Amazon, hey, I want to enroll in the KDP Select. You have to be exclusive for at least 90 days. Chances are you'll probably want to stay within it. Once you do that, Amazon will let you do a couple things. One is called the Kindle Countdown deal, which I haven't had too much success with, so I won't get into too much detail. And the other one is the free book promotion. When you tell Amazon that you're going to be exclusive and you enroll in the KDP Select, you get this badge. It's called Kindle Unlimited. And so what that means is Kindle, if you buy a Kindle and you load it up and you connect your Amazon account, the first thing that Amazon is going to say on your Kindle is, hey, congratulations on purchasing a Kindle. Do you want to subscribe and enroll to Kindle Unlimited? Think of it like Audible, right? Like Audible, you pay 14 bucks a month maybe, and you get one audiobook credit a month. You don't pay for the audiobook. I mean, you do because you're paying it in the subscription. Same concept with Kindle Unlimited. It's a subscription. You pay $11.99 I think is what it's at now. You pay 11 bucks a month and you have access to, I mean, I think now it's a lot more than 1 million. This was an old slide, but you have access to a bunch of Kindles, Harry Potter, Twilight. You've got so many, so you've got so much access to so many different books. You get magazines. In fact, I think this next screen kind of goes through it. You get magazine subscriptions, you get audiobooks, comics. So it's a really good platform and you can read it for free. So if you pay that subscription to Amazon, you can read any of this for free. Now you can only have 10 books at a time. So you can have 10 books in your library and those 10 books you can read for free. You can keep it in your Kindle forever, right? Until you turn it back in. And so as an author, you get paid, let me back up. You get paid. So let's say I clicked buy now. Let's say, so this is a free Kindle, which I'll get into what the free Kindle is. But this particular Kindle normally, when it's not on a promotion, it sells for $3.99. So if I come here and I click buy now for $3.99, that Kindle gets sent to my device. I don't have to read it. I can read it. It doesn't matter. I have it forever. Or if I have Kindle Unlimited, I can click read for free. And then the author gets paid as I read the book. So the author, if I buy it for $3.99, the author gets paid 70% royalty. So they get paid 70%, one and done. But if I click read for free, then the author will still get paid. It just depends on if I read it. If I never read it, they don't get paid. Otherwise, they get paid on a per page basis. And it's kind of cool. So if any of you already have a book out there, if you happen to have it in Kindle Unlimited, not a lot of authors know this, but you can see on a daily basis how many pages you have being read of your books. That's kind of cool. You can go in today, oh my God, 100 people read my book or 100 pages read. So that's kind of fun. But so anyway, so Kindle, through one of those perks, like I had mentioned, you can run a free Kindle ebook promotion. And so what that means is you tell Amazon, hey, I'm going to have my Kindle. I want my Kindle to be completely free to everyone. So where before I had to have Kindle Unlimited to read this book for free, now if they're running a promotion, which this is a screenshot of someone who was running a promotion, this Kindle is free for everyone. So now I can come in, I don't have Kindle Unlimited, I can come and buy now and I get it for free. If you're running a free Kindle promotion, there's a platform, there's not a platform, directories. They're called paid promotion directories. And you can go to these directories and say, hey, my Kindle is going to be free on these particular dates. And then they will send an email to their list and say, hey, so-and-so's book is free today only. Go download their book. And so I'll just hit play on this real quick. It's just a screenshot for authors. And this is old, so I would say like the audience is about double now. But this is just kind of walking you through. So like all of this, you could probably double it. Like there's over 1 million registered readers now. This was probably 2 years ago that I created this. But you can see it's used by the big publishing houses too. So when Harlequin, Random House, HarperCollins, when they run a promotion, they come to these type of directories. So you have a Kindle promotion. Let me back up, close this. Okay. Oops. Okay, let's go back. Yeah. So you're running a free Kindle promotion. You pick a date. You can do it for a 5-day window. And then you go to these type of directories and you tell them that your Kindle is going to be free. Now, I'll talk about the benefit of this, but what'll happen is your Kindle is going to be free for that 5-day window. All of those directories are going to be sending out an email to their list. They're going to say, hey, this book is free. Just by the nature of if you're getting these directories that are popular and legitimate directories, you're going to, I mean, on the low end, you're probably going to get 1,000 people clicking buy now for $0. On the high end, you're going to get 9,000 people downloading your Kindle. Let's just split this down the middle. Let's just say you have 5,000 people that came and purchased your Kindle for $0. So that's 5,000 people that got that email and they clicked this, buy now with one click. That's great. It's going to do a couple things. Well, the biggest thing it's going to do is you're going to be an Amazon bestseller in one of your subgenres. So it's also very important that before you run this type of a promotion, that you optimize your genres. You don't want to be in like self-help or you know, sports, whatever. You want to make sure that you drill down your genre so that it may only take 5, 10, 50, 100, 1,000, 2,000 people to hit that bestseller category. So you can say after this that you were an Amazon bestselling author. This was a bestselling book. That's great. Again, you had 5,000 downloads. That's cool. That's 5,000 people that have your book in their catalog. But honestly, let's be real. Are they all going to read that book? Gary, what's that statistic? Tell them that statistic. Unmute yourself. How many books a year does someone read?
I was just talking about that today on a different program. On average, in the United States, the average American reads less than 1 book a year.
Yeah. Yet look at the stack of books that you have of books that you want to read, right? Like I have a whole bunch of books. I have some books here. I have at least 4 books here on my bookshelf, my desk that I plan to read. I don't know if I will. So my point is it's great that you get 5,000 people to click that buy now, but that me personally, that's not what I want. What I want is those people that got those emails from FreeBooksy or wherever, and they actually had Kindle Unlimited. So if they had Kindle Unlimited, if you think about it, so Kindle Unlimited readers, they're paying a subscription to Amazon, right? They're paying a subscription that means they want to read books. So you know that they're avid book readers. They're book lovers. They read a lot of books. They're not going to pay Amazon $11 a month for this subscription where they can read free books if they don't read a lot of books. So chances are really high that they're your target audience if they come here. The other thing is that they can only have 10 books at a time in their library. So let's say they get that email, they come here, they see your book, they love it, they want to click that read for free. Well, let me back up. The other thing too is that those Kindle Unlimited readers, they're preconditioned to read books here, but they don't read books outside of it. It's like with Audible. I pay $14 a month to Audible, and I wait for my credit every month before I get a new audiobook. I don't buy audiobooks outside of Audible. It's the same concept with Kindle Unlimited. They only read Kindles inside of Kindle Unlimited. So if your ebook is not exclusive, chances are pretty high that if they happen to see your book, they're going to move right along. So if they get that email from Free Booksy and they come here, they're already preconditioned to click this read for free. Even though this says $0 buy now, they're already just psychology. They're just going to click this bigger button. And that's what honestly you want, because they're the ones that are targeted. They're more likely to read your book. Do you want to have someone download your book that's never going to read it? No. Do you want someone to come read your book? Yes, especially in Kindle. Because if they read your book in Kindle, what happens at the end of Kindle when you've read the book? They'll pop up, Amazon will pop up and say, hey, you just finished this book. How about you take some time and write a review? So that's really where you can start getting your ratings on Amazon, is if you start focusing on the Kindle Unlimited. They're the ones, they're going to click read for free. Chances are really high that they're going to read your book, and then they're going to come back and rate and review your book. So Kindle Unlimited, it's so being exclusive and running a free Kindle promotion. You know, a lot of authors like, I don't want to give away my book. I don't want to give away my book. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of them will do this, and they'll run a big promotion, and they'll say, oh my God, yeah, great. I got 5,000 people to purchase my book, but you know, I only got 10 ratings. Well, that's 10 ratings more than you had. And if you keep up the momentum, you don't want to stop. That's what I see happen, is that authors will do this on their own. They'll do the big push, and then they go to the next and brightest thing, or they'll get back into work and they don't continue on with the momentum. So my methodology, my motto, what I tell my authors is do the free Kindle promotion. And then every month after that, run a bargain promotion. So same thing like with Free Booksy, where you tell Free Booksy, hey, my Kindle is going to be free. There's directories that the readers are signed up to know when there's a 99-cent book or when there's a bargain book. And so then every month thereafter, drop your price to 99 cents or do like a $2.99 promo or something like that. And you hit up a couple of those directories because they've got that big marketing list. You're honestly not going to get a lot of people purchasing the Kindle. But again, that's not what I necessarily care about, right? It's what you're doing is you're indirectly marketing the read for free. That's what you want, is you want those people that get the 99-cent deal. Hey, 99 cents today only. You want the Kindle Unlimited readers to see that they come here, and you want them to purchase it, because again, they're the ones that are going to purchase it or click that read for free. They're likely going to read it, and they're going to do that review for you. And so if I don't know if we have any authors here that are in the nonfiction world, but if you are in the nonfiction world, if you have a book, you might want to consider, before running that type of a promotion, is to come up with a call to action inside of your book. So I worked with Brendan Kane, Hook Point. We put in the very first page of his book, it depends on the book. It doesn't always make sense to put it in the beginning of the book. Sometimes, especially for a memoir, you want to get to know the reader. You want to get to know the author and feel comfortable and trust the author. And so in that situation, it makes more sense to put it in the back of the book. But if you're in a situation where you can put it in the front, that would be great, because when you're running that type of a Kindle promotion, you're getting your call to action in the face of, let's say, 5,000 people. You know, again, not all those 5,000 people are going to read the book, but those Kindle Unlimited readers will read the book. And, you know, Gary says this all the time. His hesitation with pushing people to Amazon was always, you don't own the asset. I don't know who bought my book. I don't have their name. I don't have their email. If you can come up with some kind of incentive, some kind of way to get that person's email. So like in the case of, you know, Hook Point, download a free bonus, which gives you how to create viral content using science, not luck. You know, train algorithms to work for you. Get the viral trends that has worked for him. You scan your QR code, right? So you're on Amazon, you click look inside, which a lot of people, before they buy the book, they're going to click that look inside button. And if this bonus looks lucrative, someone's going to scan their QR code with their phone, and then they will put their name and email. This is just an example of a particular landing page, but they put their name and email, and then they get that resource guide. Same thing here. This was a book that we published. They're a Wall Street Journal bestseller. He is a coach that works with multi-million-dollar CEOs. And his is actually 2 pages. I only recommend usually 1, but it worked out well for him. You know, someone, they come here, they see his book, they click the look inside, they see this free bonuses to transform your mind, your life. He's got visualization, he's got trainings, he's got guided meditations. You go to his landing page, he's got the QR code on the back side, and now you own that asset. You've got their name, you've got their email, you've given them the freebies, and now you can set up a drip campaign. Upsell them down the line. Maybe they're not ready to buy your paperback for $29.95. But if you've got them in that drip, hopefully if you have a really good system, you can maybe upsell them down the line to your coaching program or your training, or maybe you've got a workshop coming up. And usually like these type of a landing page, they work better if it's literally just a landing page that just no fluff, no nothing. It's just got, hey, put your name and email, and that's it. You know, here's another example. So that call to action, that is something that is definitely something to think about. Again, more like the nonfiction side, and you have to make sure that it's lucrative. So you have to think of, you know, what inside, you know, could you pull out a worksheet? You know, Gary for his worksheets, his get statements worksheet. He's got basically like a PDF that has all of his notebooks and worksheets in there that you can get, so you don't have to worry about writing in the book. So something like that could work well. Here in these other screenshots, I just kind of go through websites that work well, but I do want to talk about Goodreads. And before I do get into Goodreads, remind me here, how many of you are already authors? I think it was about half of the group. Are you all in Goodreads? Okay. So let me pull up my screen in a second. Let me just pull up Goodreads and let me walk you through it. And Gary, how are we on time? Because I definitely want a little bit of time for questions. So I think we're kind of coming up on the hour.
Yeah, we're coming up in the hour, and normally we scheduled this for 75 minutes. So we've got about 15, maybe 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. I'll spend a few minutes here and then we'll go to questions. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Goodreads, like I had said, at least started to in the very beginning, it's just a platform for the book lovers. Like, as you can see here, I'm connected with people and they're just my Facebook friends. So, you know, you can kind of connect it. You can connect it to your email contacts or your Facebook. And you can see here, all I'm seeing are Hillary rated a book. Hillary started reading a book. Hillary finished reading. I don't see food. I don't see people going to the concert. It's literally just about books. So this is like a platform that if you're an author, if you have a book, you really do want to consider having this become your next best friend. Because for a lot of, especially self-published authors, it's kind of an untapped world that I think is a missed opportunity. So again, Goodreads, it's a section, it's also an app. So not only is it social media, but it's an app. So people keep track of books that they want to read, currently reading, and read. So you can see here with the click of a button, I can move this to my want to read. Or if I already read Glow, I can hover down here and I can click it to read. And that marks it down. I can keep track of the books that I've read. Let's see, as an example, I'm sure a lot of you know who Chris and Hannah is. I was going on a camping trip last summer and I was kind of torn between The Nightingale and The Great Alone. And so I pulled up both of those books while I was at the online, you know, just trying to figure out which book to buy. And I clicked on The Great Alone. And when I went to the review section, because that's what I do, I look at the reviews before I buy a book. And these are my friends. So of all of the reviews, I have 5 of my friends that have read this book and rated it. I saw Mary rated it 5 stars. Fantastic book. I read it in one day, couldn't put it down. And then Mary, this other Mary, she's notorious. Every time I come on here, she rates a book 1 star, 2 stars. So me seeing that Mary rated this book 4 stars, I mean, between that and this Mary saying I couldn't put it down, that was a deciding factor for me. So people come to Goodreads and they use it as a deciding factor for buying a book. So you really do want to focus on getting your ratings up on Goodreads. How do you do that? Well, Goodreads has a section called giveaways. So within here, you can list your book as a giveaway. And you can say, hey, I'm going to give away 100 Kindles, just as an example. And you can set it up for like a 1-month contest. So here, let's see. Let's go to self-help or memoir or something. Let's go to memoir. Okay, so this person listed their memoir December 9th. So literally just yesterday. They've already got 345 entries. Let's see. This person just listed theirs, Bare Naked in Public. They've got 560 entries. And so what that means is if I click enter giveaway, in order for me to enter the giveaway, this gets moved automatically to my want to read bookshelf. So I'm entered in her giveaway. I'll find out in a month if I win. 100 winners are going to get that Kindle. But let's say I don't win. So she already has 560 in just a couple days. Chances are high that by the end of the month, she'll probably have 2,000 entries. So let's say she has 2,000 entries. That's 2,000 people that have her book in their want to read bookshelf. And again, because this is so like book driven, book lovers, this is their app, they keep track of everything. When they're done with the book, they come to their want to read bookshelf to be reminded of a book that they want to read. So if you can have 2,000 people have your book in their bookshelf, even if 10%, even if 10 of those people that had their book in the want to read are reminded of your book and buy your book, that's worth it. You have the 100 winners that will win your book. So hopefully of those 100 winners that get your book, they'll write and rate a review. But it's the long term. So over time, that's the best way for you to start building out your Goodreads ratings. And then the other thing too is this, you're kind of getting the 2-for-1. Amazon owns Goodreads. So if someone comes here and they write a review for you, Amazon pops up and they'll say, hey, do you want to post the same review on Amazon? So Goodreads it's a fun place to kind of hang out. Then once you have those 100 winners, you can go in and connect with each one of those winners. You can't say, hey, did you read my book or anything? But you can follow them, interact with them. Hey, okay, look, Hillary, let's say Hillary was one of my winners. Hey, you could like this. I see that you started reading Banyan Moon. I can't wait to hear what you think about it. And then you move on. Okay, Kyla, let's just say let's say she was one of the winners. Oh, wow, you read Cannery Road. What did you think about it? You didn't post a review just yet, right? Like you start interacting with them because then little by little over time, they're like, oh, it's that celebrity aspect. So-and-so just followed me and I just won their book. Chances are better that they're going to actually read the book and write a review if you kind of start interacting with them, in a casual, friendly networking way. So that's that. Any questions with all of that? Marketing, Goodreads.
Well, there was a question that Corey brought up, and can you post a simple web page like that for free up until a certain amount?
Oh, Gary, no, sorry, that's a statement.
Oh.
You can
Oh,
you can
okay.
post a simple page like that through AWS for literally nothing, except up until it gets to a certain point. Ted Simmons, I can connect you guys with him, knows a lot about that, but there's also articles on the internet.
Cool. So let's open it up for questions. Don't be shy. Unmute yourself and go for it.
I have a question.
Yeah, Connie, and then Sherry.
Just a quick one. Is it a good idea or a bad idea to like the comments that other people made on your book?
Yeah.
If somebody reviewed your book, is it okay for you to like their comment?
I believe you can like their comment and I believe you can reply too. It's obviously you don't want to reply and say bad things if they say something bad.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have a question. If you can see this, Amazon has my book listed twice. Whoops. Twice in paperback. And I don't know why. They have done that. I did update the book. So I'm wondering if maybe the reason they did that is because it's still got 10 on the shelf, but there's like one older one here, one older one here, and then the new version here. What's going on?
Let me look. I can probably tell you. Let's take a quick peek. They have different ISBNs. They have different ISBNs. So somehow you entered the book in twice, two different ISBNs.
Not that I'm aware of, two different ISBNs.
So let me
Now
play with it.
the older book, of course, has a different ISBN than the newer book.
Okay, so yeah, so what it sounds like you were trying to do is you publish an old book and then you revamped it and you wanted to publish a second edition, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So yeah, do you mind if I share my screen and I'll kind of,
Alrighty.
yeah. Okay, so which one is the old one? So there,
No, that's the new one.
okay, that's the new one. And then this is the old one.
Yes.
The interesting thing, okay. Yeah, so what you would do is you would just basically tell Amazon, I'm assuming that this is both published inside of your KDP account.
Yes.
Okay. You just chat with KDP, tell them that that's your second edition version. Tell them that the old one is the old version. Unpublish the old version.
That's what I thought I did, but
Okay.
I will chat with them then.
Yeah, and then also you want to tell them that on the old version, if they can put a little badge that says there's a new version and this is the new version. That way, if someone does land on the old version, they will have a nice little badge that shows the new version.
Okay. Do you lose all your reviews when you do that on
Nope.
the?
The reviews will carry over if you do it
Because
that
it would
way.
really help to have them all on one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the reviews will carry over.
Okay, so I will contact KDP on that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So who else would like to ask Veronica a question? Don't be shy.
Okay, so I'll bite. This is kind of a tough question.
Yeah.
Um, we're talking about self-publishing, but what, and obviously this is the would be the self-publishing perspective on why go with self-publishing? If there's a publisher that is interested, what would be the advantage of self-publishing versus going through somebody who has perhaps more marketing support, more editing support?
Yeah, that's a good question. So obviously there's traditional publishing, which you're not talking about. What you're really talking about is a hybrid publisher. You have to be careful because there are also vanity publishers out there. Those publishers, depending on the publisher. So like when I say vanity publisher, they will publish your book for you with their imprint. So let's just say Red Sky Press. Let's say Red Sky Press, they publish a bunch of new age books, we'll just say. And they want to publish your book. But you have to pay them for everything. So you pay them for the editing, the book marketing, the book cover, the book design. So you could pay them 10, 15, 20, $30,000. And then they pay you the royalties. They will usually split it some way. Then there's hybrid publishers, which is a hybrid of a traditional. They're somewhat traditional, they're just not as big, and they will split the cost of publishing the book with you. So maybe they'll be like, hey, listen, it's going to cost $20,000 to publish the book, and you split the cost. It depends, what your situation is, but a lot of those hybrid publishers is they'll split the cost with you, and they'll still pay you royalties. In my experience, why I'm such a big advocate for self-publishing is because with those publishers, they don't, in my experience with the publishers that I've been familiar with, they don't have a lot of marketing behind them. They'll tell you they'll do a big marketing push. Maybe they'll do a big book launch for you. Maybe they'll put your book on a book tour for a month. And that's usually it. Once your book is 2 months, 3 months old, you move to the back of the line, and then that's it. So if you want to consider, maybe you do have a lucrative signing bonus with one of those publishers. You want to make sure that you work out a really good marketing deal, because that's going to be the key. That's the key, is making sure that when your book is published, that it's not forgotten about. And the problem too is that there's been a lot of authors that have come to me that they've published with Forbes books. They've published with these big publishers, but they can't do the type of stuff that I shared with you because they don't have access to their KDP account. The book is published under that big publishing house. And that big publishing house, they don't want to make your book, your ebook exclusive to Kindle. They want to have their Kindle ebook far and wide, because there's no way that they can, for every single author, yeah, let me put you in Kindle Unlimited. Sure, yeah, let me go in and put you in Kindle. Yeah, let me change your price to 99 cents. They control everything. You can't go in and do any of these promotions that I shared with you. And then like the smaller publishing houses, if they go kaput, I won't even name names. There have been several publishers that have gone under, that now those authors come to me and they find out that they didn't own their rights, even though that publisher said, no, we'll pay you 100% of the royalties. We're not going to share royalties. You get everything. But they own that ISBN. All your reviews, all your ratings on Amazon, it's under their publishing, under their KDP account. So now if they go kaput and you want to get your rights back, okay, maybe, yeah, you can get your rights back, but you don't get your reviews back. And then you have to, okay, where's the source file? I want to republish my book in my KDP account. I had this author, she had maybe 1,500 books. It was a huge financial book. She was doing well. She went on all these radio shows. She couldn't get the book with all the reviews transferred into her own KDP account once that book publisher left. So it can work. It can be lucrative. You just want to make sure that you have the rights to your book. You don't lose that. But the biggest piece is that marketing. That you have a good ongoing marketing plan that you can tap into with them.
And what about with a truly traditional publishing house? What are the differences there?
So, I mean, if you can get an amazing deal with that, that'd be awesome. I have authors that are traditionally published and self-published, and they'll probably pick self-published all the time. Because again, the traditional publishing, the deals are not as lucrative as they used to be. I mean, there are some that find that diamond in the rough and they get this really good deal, but more and more, they don't get that same deal that they used to get. And it's again, it comes back to the marketing. Okay, they publish your book, maybe they do a big 2 to 3 month cycle, and then after 3 months, it's back of the bus. So just make sure you look at the deal, you see what they're offering, and just, see if it makes sense for you.
So let me give you a couple of real life situations that I have run into. One of my former clients wrote Facebook Marketing for Dummies. It's actually a dummies book. Within 6 months, they didn't know who she was. She can buy her book for $1 less than she can buy from the publisher. And so it is, she's hooked. I mean, it's just one of those things. She has the PR rights to say she's a dummies author, but as far as really making any money with it, I'm a little more liberal. I'll push the timeline, but within 6 months, they don't know your name because they're out for the flash and dance. They're out for that new thing that they're wanting to push. And, it's just one of those things that they love you in the beginning and then you become just an add-on later on, like what Veronica said, you're at the back of the line. Most of you probably know who Seth Godin is. Seth Godin wrote The Purple Cow, This Is Tribes. He went traditional publishing, and about 3 years ago, he canned it and went to publishing on his own. He just dropped the traditional publisher because he lost control. He did not have those rights. So it's more and more of the people that did go to, and Seth is one of those guys that is viral. I mean, he puts out a lot of information. So anyway, I mean, it's not necessarily, in my opinion, terrible, but just know what you're getting into. And I would recommend if you go to a traditional publisher, hire an attorney to work the contract. Don't do the contract on your own. My former coach was actually on The Secret Millionaire on ABC when it came out. And the original contract that ABC gave him when they were contracting with him, his attorney found that if he had signed that contract, he would have lost the right to use his name in any kind of PR book, anything. That
Mhm.
ABC would have owned his name. And so, if you're going that traditional, please get a good attorney to review all of the documents.
I have one other question kind of along these lines.
Yeah.
So what about international? I feel like we've been talking about domestic US market. Um, what kinds of pieces of advices, gotchas would you say if you're looking
Yeah.
internationally?
So actually, so that, promotion that I shared with you, that will become international. So just by the nature of driving so much traffic, hitting those directories, you're usually going to hit international bestseller. Usually it's in the UK, Australia, and the Canadian market are usually like the bigger ones. I mean, I've even seen France and Italy. But that will indirectly target those markets. Do you have like a specific market that you need to focus on?
No, I'm thinking, as we're talking, I'm thinking of examples of other authors I've seen and problems I've had getting a hold of their books. So I'm curious, just kind of like what that would look like planning ahead for, hopefully a problem I might like to have one day.
Well, but so clarify that question, because within the Amazon ecosystem, your book will be in the UK. So someone in the UK can purchase your book and it'll be printed in the UK and shipped to them. Someone in
Okay.
France, same type of thing. Is that getting there or no?
ISBNs are good internationally?
Your ISBN will be good internationally, yeah.
Okay. Um, I guess, copyright laws, things like that vary from country to country. British libel laws are rather infamous. Just any sorts of, things like that that you have dealt with. Um, and
No, not that I have personally dealt with outside from the fact that, if some like I did have an author that they were from the UK, but they publish here in the US. And when they did their promotions, my authors don't usually do this, but because they had an international audience, they listed out their purchase links throughout all the Amazon channels. So they had a whole list, Amazon.com if you're in the US, Amazon.UK if you're in the UK. Because if someone in the UK goes to try to buy your book in Amazon.com, they can't buy it. A lot of people in the UK know how to work around that. But if you do have an international audience, and I don't think that answers your question, you can list out all of the individual links to buy the book. The last thing I'll leave you guys with is I just want to show you a real world example. If you guys commit to kind of what I shared with you, it's that free Kindle campaign. Every month thereafter, you're doing like a 99-cent promo. If you can afford it, I would do the free Kindle campaign 4 times a year. And then in between, I'd be doing the 99-cent promos. And then for the Goodreads giveaway, you can run those every 3 months, you can be running a Goodreads giveaway. And if you're consistent driving that traffic, you can start getting your ratings over time. It's not going to happen overnight. But these are authors that we worked with. So she's one hair away from 3,400, and she's just one book. She has 30 followers on Facebook. She's not doing anything crazy. And it's a historical fiction. It's a novel. She's not a business author. And I can't quote that you'll be making this type of a royalty, but now because of that, she's making a decent royalty on Amazon from her book sales. And she's consistently staying on the bestsellers list within Amazon. Here's another example, almost 1,200 ratings. And this one, 1,500. Him, we did pull out of Kindle Unlimited temporarily just because we're doing a USA Today push for him, but he'll be going back into Kindle Unlimited because it's honestly a no-brainer. So with that, if you guys have any questions, want to reach out, I do have a book marketing program. If you want any more details, you can email me at the journeyboundpublishing.com website.
So put that in the chat, Veronica, please.
Yeah.
What I'd recommend with everyone, if you have a book or if you're getting ready to write a book, even if you're not ready to, is to schedule a time to have a conversation with Veronica. and just see what it would look like, because I know some of the questions were, what is the investment? And it's like asking at times, how long is a piece of string? Because it does determine by the number of words and the size and all of that goes along with that. Or if you have a book, she will customize. And that's what I love about her, because she'll really work within your model to get the best results possible for you. That's why I trust her. So
And I do have a book marketing mastermind. We meet once a month. It's 2 hours, but we talk about book marketing. We have a 1 hour session where you guys are deep diving into your marketing. So you're working on your flyers, you're working on your Facebook ads, you're working on your funnels. And then I'm kind of roaming around. So if someone's struggling with their funnels or they're struggling with their Facebook ad audience. So it really is like a hands-on. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer, if you want kind of someone alongside of you, that book mastermind group might be something to think about.
is there a link that you can put in the chat about that as well?
Yeah, I just put it in there. It's
Oh,
the
you did?
Boundless Book
Okay.
Marketing.
Very good. Well, real quick, is there any last question? Or I appreciate everybody really sticking around and asking really good questions. And
concerns around what's in breakfast cereal.
I'm just going to tell the cereal companies to take all the dyes out of there.
Graham?
We're always in the news. The idea of having cereal for dinner, is there the potential for that?
I guess I'm having cereal for dinner tonight.
We're having cereal for dinner. So you can unmute Graham if you have the background noise done. So
I'll have cereal.
but anyway, well, guys, again, you're going to receive the chat and the audio and the video tomorrow in your emails if you got the invitation through the one of my emails. If you came through the Facebook event, email me at Gary Barnes International. We won't add you to our mailing list, and we'll make sure that you get the recordings as well. So Gary at GaryBarnesInternational.com. So very good, Veronica. Again, thank you so much for being with us.
Spell Gary?
Yeah.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays.
Somebody.
Yeah, how do you spell Gary?
Oh, cut it out, Roland.
G-E-R-Y.
Anyway. Yes.
Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you all. Great.
Appreciate you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.